guys, this is Stormouse03, and this is my Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings Dark Difficulty walkthrough. So here we are at the Cauldron pub, and we are gonna do the Bring It On in Vergen quest line here. And so there are 3 dwarves that you have to defeat at arm wrestling for this particular quest, and you want to do this after you do the hey what's going on in the mines quest, because otherwise these guys won't show up here where you need them to be to do this. So the first one is this guy, and you do the same thing that we've been doing. You want to try to keep your left stick in the middle, sort of just to the right, I like to keep it, of the moving line.
You should take on Scalen. He beat me and Yarpen.
And then he's going to direct you to the other 2 that you need to fight. The other 2 that you need to arm wrestle. And that sort of starts that quest along. It took me forever to get this Yarpen guy to show up here, so you might have to sit there and meditate and like wait till different times of day. I think it was around noon that he actually showed up here in the pub, so just keep waiting and walking around, and eventually he'll show up and you'll be able to arm wrestle him. And so I discovered the other day that apparently you can go into your options menu if you're having a harder time with this arm wrestling thing, which I don't find to be too bad, but you know, it's not, I wouldn't call it easy either. You can do something in your menu, uncheck a box called difficult QTEs, and that apparently affects this. I haven't had a chance to really try it out, but if you are having a harder time with the arm wrestling, you may want to go into your options menu and see if you have that checked or not, because if you do, then you might be having a harder time with the arm wrestling than you need to. So the last person that you're going to arm wrestle is Scalen Burden, and he won't fight you unless you have, I keep saying fight, he won't arm wrestle you until you've defeated the other 2 guys, Skags and Yarpen. So once you've done that, you will be able to arm wrestle this guy, who is no pushover, but isn't difficult by any stretch of the imagination, really. Your left stick's a little bit more finicky, but not too bad overall, and you can wrap this quest up without ever leaving this area, which is pretty cool. And he's going to, after you defeat him, let you know about another competitor that we're going to see in chapter 3 called the Mighty Numa, and he, you know, tells you this little bit of gossip that he, you know, people say he doesn't play fair and yada yada, and so we'll get to see, you know, what comes of that later on. But for now, you get your nice XP and finish off this quest. So that is pretty cool. I'm gonna go and go through my equipment, store stuff that I needed to store, and sell off stuff that I needed to sell off, and then come up here to Philippa Eilhart's quarters. And right now I'm wanting to initiate this quest where you're trying to find a magic artifact, because if you'll remember, Saskia has been poisoned, and we're trying to figure out, you know, how to make a cure for her, and you need 4 ingredients. One of them is the Dwarven Immortelle that we got down in the caves, that we thankfully don't have to go back to, except for one very short trip much later. One of them is this magic artifact. And so when you ask Philippa about it. She's going to tell
Do
you,
not grow on trees, as
you know,
Luckily, this area
a little bit about
history.
what she needs and direct you as to
Of
where
real
you might,
prophecy,
you know, find it.
suffering, the abandoned mines.
I was hoping you'd be specific.
I won't ask you to traipse around with a divining rod, but please try to be a little inventive. Ask the locals, that's always a good place to start. I dare say Alderman Burden knows every last stone in the area. Maybe you should see him.
Alright, so she directs you to see Cecil Burden, a place where you should be familiar with if you've been doing the quests up until now. You've been to his place at least twice, once for dice poker, and again after you finished the hay works on in the mines. And we'll be back several more times, so get familiar with going to Cecil Burden's. So you're going to head on over here and speak with him, and he's going to be able to shed a little bit more light, give you a little bit more direction than Philippa was able to. So that is good. We will figure out where we need to go next. And we'll have a lot of fights between here and there. So
Saskia needs help, Cecil. Philippa can produce an antidote, but she needs a magic artifact to do that.
Would you like a fern and a dancing worm to go with it? Listen, I don't know about magic, but there is a place, as long as I can remember, it's been of interest to sorcerers. It's a very strong intersection. Look for magic there.
Where exactly is there?
Seek out the ruins in the forest beyond Bergen. There's a place of power there. You can't miss it. Why so glum? Saskia's a tough girl. She'll bounce back. Keep your head up.
Thanks, Cecil.
No, Witcher. I thank you. Save that lass, and you'll save my town.
alrighty. So now we have a quest marker showing us where to go, which is good. And we're going to be headed out of town, and so I'm going to speed this up because it's kind of a long trek over here. But you want to be prepared to fight some humans, and this is I believe the first time in this chapter that we've had to fight human enemies. And you just want to make sure if you've been using the blood sword and you still have one of your cursed weapons to equip. This is, by the way, the only house I think in the area that you can loot. So on your way out of town, you just want to make sure that you go into your menu and fix your weapon set. So either use that robust sword of Dalblathana as your steel sword, or do what I'm going to do, which is switch and put back on your cursed silver sword so you can use your cursed steel sword to fight these enemies that are coming up here, because you don't want to be losing health unnecessarily. You come up here, you have a little conversation with them, they go aggressive to you, and now what you want to do here is prioritize these Scoia'tael, because if you don't get them out of the way, it's going to make it difficult to move around this area, because they'll start shooting arrows at you. So you want to prioritize killing them. And you'll see, I got too far away and he whipped out his bow, and that is really irritating. Because, you know, if you're trying to use kin or something, you'll just immediately get that knocked off of you as soon as, you know, they shoot an arrow, because apparently their arrows will hit where you are and not where you were, which is quite annoying. And then once you kill the two Scoia'tael, you want to take care of the assassin lady, because I think she might have throwing knives that she might occasionally start throwing at you if you get too far away from her or something. But after all three of them are taken care of, this guy is sort of a pushover, and you'll have taken care of that fight. But don't be fooled, they can mess you up pretty quickly between the four of them, so you want to try to, you know, use whichever methods you've been using that you like. I'm going to be using more of the Igni spell now that I'm going to level it up a little bit more. And less of the kin spell. Although I am gonna, you know, still throw on kin. You'll see me using more Igni from here on. Just because it is really effective against human and dwarf and elf enemies, and it also is really effective against a lot of the enemies that we'll be facing right now, so harpies and such. So when you come into this area, sometimes you'll see some neckers fighting some humans. And sometimes the neckers are already dead, as you can see they are right now because I'm looting their corpses. But there will always be quite a few, actually, of these bandits that you need to take out. And so some of them will have crossbows, which can be irritating, and you want to try to do what I'm doing and get them separated as much as possible. You want to try to lure them back this way so that you don't aggro too many of them at once, because you can deal a lot of damage at this point, but you still don't want to get yourself into a spot where you're surrounded by too many enemies. And these bandit guys are really good about blocking your attacks and whatever. That's why magic is so effective on them. That's why you'll see me use Igni a lot. Because they're really good at sort of blocking you, and it just takes longer than necessary to fight them with your sword. I'm really into picking up that mandrake root. Right there. And so there were those two enemies. Sometimes there will be some guys, you know, hiding around. But now you've seen that I've aggroed somebody. Here he comes. And you'll see that there's someone back there, I believe, who's trying to shoot arrows at me. So I come over here, I get myself behind this lovely tree. And what I'm going to do is try to lure them around the tree to sort of get in close. But what you don't want to do is back up too much, because you will aggro some harpies into the area. It's a very tight area in here, and you want to be careful. You hear the harpies screeching behind me right now, and it's not good. When you get all these enemies in here at once. You'll see the harpies, you've sort of gone out of their range right now, so they flew away. And I used the heliotrope sign right now to slow down time, which is also really, really effective when you get a bunch of enemies. If I had known that the harpies were going to fly away, I probably wouldn't have used it right there, just against those two guys. But whenever you get into a situation like that where you have a bunch of enemies sort of surrounding you, that heliotrope sign is very, very useful. And since I have leveled toward it and put some more points into it, when I'm using my magic, the meter there with the lightning on it builds up pretty quickly. So those were the two last humans in the area. They, I think, both had crossbows, which are irritating. But now that they're taken care of, I'm going to put back on my blood sword to fight the harpies that I'm going to be dealing with. I think there are also some drowners that you may run into in this area, but you're definitely going to be fighting some harpies. A lot of harpies coming up. So we're going to head back into this area, aggro them in. And your Igni spell is really effective against them. Feathers burn pretty easily, apparently. They are kind of irritating about aggroing and then de-aggroing if you move out of a very specific little area. And I'm sitting here going, come on, harpies. Stop playing games. But at least their little, we're gonna go aggressive. No, we're not gonna go aggressive. Kept them from, you know, spawning in 10 of them all at once, which is pretty good. Because having a bunch of harpies at once can get out of hand very quickly. Alright, so that may have been all of them in this particular spot. And you definitely want to make sure you go around and pick up everything off of their corpses, because we're going to need a bunch of harpy feathers for a quest that we're doing, or that we're going to do a little bit later. And also harpy feathers actually sell for quite a bit. I think they're worth 9 gold each, and you can get quite a few of them off of, you know, your harpy corpses. So that is pretty valuable loot, probably one of the most valuable common drops that you'll get off of enemies in this game. So you don't want to miss any of those. And so we're going to make a jump across this little rock formation here. And there are going to be a couple other harpies that you're going to fight in this middle area. You don't want to go across until you've killed them, because there's going to be a bunch more that spawn in when you jump across to the other side, and you don't want to get surrounded by these two plus all of those. So you kill those two, and then we're going to jump across again. And you want to kind of be cautious here. There are going to be a bunch that spawn in, and you want to use this right side down here and not head toward the nest. Because you want to kill all of these, ideally, before you spawn in the larger harpy. So use this right side here to kind of funnel them a little bit. They're interesting because they don't all rush at you, and they get sort of caught up behind each other in a line sometimes, which is really good. They also have some issues getting around the rocks. As you'll see, that the one that's sort of over there hasn't quite figured out how to get to me yet. And so it just gives you a little buffer if you use this right area. Collect all their stuff. There is some stuff on that corpse as well that you can pick up. And then once you're pretty sure that you've killed all of them, you move toward the nest, and you're going to spawn in this Solano harpy, who is more powerful than the regular harpies, but if you're fighting her by herself, is a pushover. So that is that. All the harpies are dead. And you can come up to the nest and claim your prize. There's a crystal. And this is what we came for. So you can run around this area and explore a little bit, pick up some herbs and things, but we're going to head back to Philippa Eilhart's quarters and show her our magic crystal that we found. And she's gonna not be as impressed by it as we maybe want her to be.
You wanted to discuss something?
So you go up, you talk to her, you tell her that you found a magic crystal.
Show me. Interesting. Getting warmer, but still not there. It's as if I'd sent you to get me the sun and you'd brought me a candle. Cecil burdens.
In that case, I need to see the alderman. Got a feeling he just might open the gate for me.
So I cut out some of the dialogue there. It's pretty lengthy, but in essence, it's a dream crystal, but it's not strong enough. She needs you to find a stronger one, which means you need to go to the nest, where they have more of them. And she also told you that, luckily enough, Cecil Burden is the one that has the key to that area, and this is conveniently his dream. That he might not want being shared with everyone. So, you're going to head on over to Cecil Burden's for a bit of mild blackmail.
I need to get inside the harpy lair.
No chance. The secret dies with you, never to be spoken aloud. Understand?
I do. Thanks, Cecil. And good luck staying sober.
And so there it is. His deep dark secret is that he's a recovering alcoholic and was dreaming about drinking, apparently. So, apparently that is very damaging to his, or potentially damaging to his character and reputation. And he doesn't want that getting out, so he gives you the key to get into the harpy lair. Yay! So that moves this quest along. We're going to be following up with that in the next video. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you there.